Hello everyone, welcome back to yoga. My name's Ashley, and today I've planned for us a strong intermediate yoga flow. Oh my. By working to strengthen the body, we also will inevitably help to strengthen the mind as well as the spirit. And it can take a ton of willpower just to even want to do this type of difficult and grueling work. And so when we strengthen ourselves mentally, we're also helping to strengthen ourselves physically, and physically we're helping strengthen ourselves mentally. So they're kind of playing off each other. So we strengthen ourselves mentally by doing and accomplishing difficult tasks. And it shows us that there's a reservoir of strength within us all, even when we feel at our weakest. And that looks different for everybody. And when things get difficult, it's important to have faith that you will make it through, even if you can't do every single thing that you want to as you're moving forward. And the power of will is what gets you here, and the power of faith is what carries you through to the end. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the character Krishna, he says, every human being is Shraddhamaya, which means in Sanskrit, made up of faith. And I thought that was really cool. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and practice. Feel free to close your eyes or gaze at a point out in front of you. Connect to your breath, maybe join your palms in front of your heart as a gesture of centering. And just take a moment here to acknowledge yourself just as you are in this moment. Meeting yourself on your mat just as you are. Feel free to sing along or listen for one Om. Take a full breath in. Exhale completely. Inhale again. Release your hands. Gently open your eyes. Please begin in downward facing dog. If you're listening live, you'll get the music live. And for people who are listening to the recording, there will be a playlist link. In your downward dog, make sure that your hands are shoulder distance, index fingers point straight ahead. Grip the floor with all 10 fingertips and push the inner edges of your hands down. Rotate your upper inner arms forward and your inner thighs backward as you reach your heels to or toward the floor. You can always bend or straighten your legs or walk your dog for the down dog jog. Bend and straighten your knees one at a time. Try to connect your body movements with your breath. Allow that to calm and collect your mind. When you're evened out, come back to a neutral down dog. Bring your ankles together. Shift forward to plank pose, top of a push-up. If you have trouble holding plank pose due to wrists or elbows or shoulders, feel free to do forearm plank instead if that's more helpful. Round your lower, middle, and upper back slightly. Push hands down, apart, and toward your feet. Press your tailbone toward your heels, and even lift your chin slightly, look slightly forward. Lower halfway down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Feel free to lower knees to the floor for more support. Then push back up, press back downward dog. Shift forward plank pose. Lower halfway down, push back up, down dog. Plank pose, Chaturanga, plank pose, down dog. 2 more if you can, otherwise hold down dog or plank instead. Don't hold your breath. After your last one, meet in downward dog. Then lower your knees to the floor. Take your knees under your hips, wrists under your shoulders, then turn your hands toward backwards so your fingers point toward your knees and your thumbs point out toward the long edges of your mat. If you want less wrist stretch, walk your knees forward. More wrist stretch, walk your knees back. Hold here a couple breaths. And then we'll proceed. Take your right leg straight up back behind you. Flare your toes. Tone your thigh, lift your kneecap. Then take your right toes all the way over to the left side of your left leg. Tap them on the floor. Come back up to the left. Back up. It's like a side crunch. To the left. Back up. To the left. Doing 5 total. One more. To the left. And back up. Lower your hands to the floor. Lift your left leg up. If at any point you need to turn your hands back around, feel free to do so. Otherwise, take your left leg, toes to the right, tap them on the floor. Come back up. 2 to the right. Back up. 3. Back up. 4. And 5. Last one. Lower your knee to the floor. Turn your hands back around, come back into downward facing dog. Lift your knees, press your thighs back, and reach your heels toward the floor. From here, slide your feet together, ankles together. Then step your right foot outside your right hand for dog lunge. Spin your back heel to the floor. Widen your right knee to the right, and then walk your hands slightly forward and to your left. Keep your hands light, feet heavy, and then drop your head, your torso toward the floor inside your right leg. Push your left foot down like you're dragging it to the right, and then swing your hips slightly to the left as you widen your right knee to the right. Downward facing dog. Feet together, left foot outside left hand. Lower your back heel to the floor. Walk your hands forward and to the right. Make sure your left knee is above your left ankle as you fold forward. Again, hands light, feet heavy. Widen left knee to the left as you swing your hips to the right as you push your right foot to the left. And breathe. Walk your hands back, downward dog. Bring your feet together, bend your knees, step or jump to the front of your mat. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Bend your knees till ribs and thighs touch as you round your spine over your legs, face toward your shins. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand up, reach your arms all the way up over your head. And as you exhale, join your palms in front of your heart, Anjali Mudra. Interlace your fingers back behind you. Squeeze your shoulder blades toward each other and work your arms to or toward straight. Bend your knees, reach your hips way back so your weight goes into your heels, not your knees. Squeeze knees and ankles in as you round your spine, pulling your navel toward your spine. Take your forehead toward your knees, maybe touching your knees, maybe not touching your knees. And then try taking your hips a little lower, maybe thighs toward parallel to the floor. Power posture area variation. Next inhale, slowly stand up, reach your arms all the way over your head. Then as you exhale, bring your arms parallel to the floor, thighs parallel to the floor again for power posture, arms out in front of you. Tone your abdomen, round your back, just like the last one. Forehead to or toward your knees, thighs toward parallel to the floor. Reach hips back, arms and torso forward. And don't hold your breath. Very tempting. Inhale, stand up, stretch up. Exhale, palms in front of your heart. All right, I'm just gonna turn, but you don't have to. Take your arms over your head, interlace your fingers, extend pointer finger, cross your thumbs. Push down through the inner edges of your feet, lengthen the sides of your body longer. Lean your hips to your left and your torso to your right. Push evenly through your feet, lengthen your spine, twist your torso more to the right, and don't hold your breath. Probably my most common cue. Don't hold the breath. Next inhale, come back up. Switch the clasp of your fingers to the non-dominant clasp. Hips to your right, torso to your left. Second side in Uttanasana. Create as much length on your left side as your right side. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, lower your arms by your side. Then take your arms out like cactus arms. Take your right arm under your left arm. Either hold shoulders, join backs of hands or palms for eagle arms. Pull your elbows forward and down as you lift up through your sternum and stand up tall. You can totally hang out here or bend your knees for a chair-like position. Stay there or lift your right knee up and cross your right knee over your left knee. Squeeze shin to shin. Maybe hook your foot behind your left calf and sit a little deeper, but make sure your weight goes back towards your heel rather than your knee. Full Garudasana. We're going into a flow from here, so watch out. From here, still balancing on your left leg, keep your arms bound, unbind your right leg. Kick your right leg straight back toward the wall behind you so your leg is more parallel to the floor. Feel free to bend your standing knee or straighten your leg, tone your thigh, lift your kneecap. Virabhadrasana 3 variation. Arms bound. Keep your arms like they are. Bend your left knee, step way back into a warrior 1 stance. Right heel in line with left heel. Left knee above left ankle. Torso pointing forward. Now, lift up through your sternum. Press your tailbone forward. Now lift your elbows up. Get the different area of the shoulders and a stretch. Virabhadrasana 2, take your arms wide. Widen your torso to the right, so your torso is facing the long edge of your mat, and then widen your left knee to the left. Gaze beyond your left middle finger. In order to come out of this pose, turn your right toes in a lot, turn your torso forward, arms up, then lean forward, step your right foot next to your left foot, then stand up, arms by your side. Fabulous. Take your arms out like cactus arms, and then take your left arm under, hold shoulders, join backs of hands or palms, pull elbows forward and down, lift up through your sternum, bend your knees. Stay here, lift your left knee over your right knee. Squeeze knee to knee, maybe hook your foot, lean more weight back toward your right heel, lift your torso more vertical. Don't hold your breath. Keep your arms bound, unbind your left leg for Virabhadrasana 3 variation. Kick your left leg way back, torso, leg parallel to the floor, right knee bent or straight. Make sure your left thigh, kneecap, toes point down. Step way back, warrior 1 stance. Keep your arms the same. Press tailbone forward, lift up through your sternum. Pull your elbows up and do an upper back bend. Yeah. Slowly come back up, Virabhadrasana 2. Widen your left toes so they're facing the long edge of your mat. Right knee widen to the right, torso facing the long edge of your mat. And gaze beyond your right fingers. Soften your jaw, your eyes, your eyebrows, your scalp, and the back of your neck. To come out, turn your left toes forward, take your arms up, lean forward, step left foot next to right foot, then stand up, reach up. Lower your arms by your side. All right, take yourself into a standing, wide-legged stance facing the long edge of your mat. Make sure that your wrists and your ankles line up. Turn your toes in just a little bit, heels a little wider than pinky toes. Now take hands onto your hips. Tone thighs, lift kneecaps, push hips back, torso forward, and fold Prasarda Tanasana. Take hands directly under your shoulders to start with arms straight. Now lengthen from hips to armpits. Create as much space between your hips and armpits as you can, and then draw your ribs back in that space. Keep all of that length and engagement in your abdomen. Walk your hands back, more between your feet. Bend your elbows, reach heart first, head last, in between your legs as you tilt your sitting bones toward the ceiling and reach the top of your head toward the floor. Move your shoulders back and up away from your ears. Take some slow, deep breaths to calm your nervous system and your heart rate down. On your next inhale, lengthen your spine halfway. Bend your knees slightly, place hands on hips, shoulders back, and slowly stand up. Take arms wide to the side for Uttanasana Konasana triangle pose. Feel free to use a block if you need one in your right hand. Turn your right toes out. Lean hips to your left, torso to your right, reach. Keep the length, place right hand to shin, ankle, floor, or a block outside your right leg under your shoulder. Tone and turn your abdomen to the left. Make sure your left shoulder doesn't drop forward and your arm goes back. Keep your left wrist above your left shoulder, left armpit sucking back. And then keep your left hip stacked on top of your right hip by pushing your hips forward and bringing your torso back. Feel free to turn your gaze toward the ceiling or in whatever direction feels best for your neck. Parshvo Tanasana, look down at the floor. Take your left hand inside your right leg, level with your right hand. Hop your back foot in a step and turn your left toes sharply forward to the left. Draw your right hip back, left hip forward to square your hips, and then walk your hands forward as you fold heart first, head last, forehead toward your knee. Tone your thighs, lift your kneecaps. Push your feet down and apart. On your next inhale, lengthen your spine. Take your left hand either inside or outside your right foot, whatever's better for you. Take right hand either to your hip or palm flat on your sacrum. Move right hip back, left hip forward like the last pose as you twist your torso to the right. And try to get your wrists and your shoulders to line up, maybe reaching your right arm all the way up toward the ceiling, palm pointing to the wall at your right. Push out in all directions, arms, legs, and top of head. Tone your abdomen as you turn your torso more to the right. To stand up, try to stand up in one motion, windmill your arms up. Whee! That's always fun to try. All right, turn your right toes in, left toes out. If you shortened your stance, make sure you widen it back again. And then take your right hip to the right, torso to the left, reach. Take left hand to shin, ankle, or the floor or block. Tone and turn your abdomen toward the ceiling. Press tailbone forward, reach torso backward. Reach legs longer, arms longer. Maybe turn your gaze up. Parshvo Tanasana, lower your right hand inside your left leg, level with your left arm. Hop your right foot in a step, turn your right toes sharply forward and to the right, inhale, lengthen. Pull left hip back, right hip forward, and fold heart first, head last toward your leg. Maybe walk your arms out straight in front of you. After the warm-up's over, it's gonna be lots of fun. But this is just the warm-up. Inhale, lengthen your spine, Parivritta, Konasana, right hand inside or outside your left leg. Take left hand to left hip or palm flat on your sacrum. Draw left hip back, right hip forward as you tone your abdomen and turn your abdomen, twisting to the left. Maybe stack your wrists and shoulders by reaching left arm straight up. Maybe turn your gaze up. In order to stand up, windmill your arms up, one motion. Turn your toes forward, and then turn your left toes in, right toes out. Again, if you shortened your stance, re-widen it. Bend your right knee. Take your right forearm to your right thigh. Extend your left arm beyond your ear. Push through your back foot, reach through your left arm, and then twist your torso more to the left. Lift up through your sternum, move your throat back, and maybe gaze toward your left palm. Now you can totally hang out in this variation Or keeping everything the same, drop your right hand to the floor outside your right foot. Good. Ardha Chandrasana, take left hand to left hip, look down, step your back foot in, right hand forward into the right, pick up your left leg, push through your right leg, kick both legs to or towards straight, your left leg straight, your right leg may be bent. If your leg is straight, tone your thigh, lift your kneecap, stack your hips, maybe lift your left arm, stack your wrists. Maybe for more challenge in the balance, gaze upward. When you can't see your foot anymore, it makes it harder. Parivritta Ardha Chandrasana, square your hips like warrior 3, keeping your left leg up. Keep pushing through your right leg, take right hand to right hip. Again, maybe rebend your knee here, can make it a little bit easier. Take your right arm up to the right and turn your torso to the right. Keep your left leg active as it's lifted, makes it a little lighter. Reach your left leg way back, so you're in your regular lunge stance, and then lower your left knee to the floor, take right hand to right thigh. Take your left arm straight up, crescent a little bit to your right, and then twist, take your left armpit somewhere close to outside your right thigh, and then join your palms. Push palms into each other, move your shoulders back. You may stay here or curl your back toes under, lift your knee up. Maybe stay here, or take left arm to the floor, left hand down, right arm up. Maybe spin your left heel to the floor and extend your right arm beyond your ear for Parivritta, Parshva Konasana, my nemesis pose. Great. To stand up, windmill your arms up. Whoa. Take your feet wide, realign your feet, and then turn your left toes out. Bend your left knee, take left forearm to left thigh, right arm beyond your ear. Tone and turn your abdomen to the right. Lift up through your sternum, pull your throat back, maybe look at your palm. Maybe stay here, lower your left hand outside your left foot. Full expression, Parshva Konasana. Breathe. I think the song that we're listening to says breathe. All right, from here, half moon, right hand to right hip. Step your right foot in. Left hand forward into the left. Lift your right leg up. Square your hips. Take your right arm straight up toward the ceiling. Maybe turn your gaze. Push your legs longer. Parivritta Ardha Chandrasana, right hand down. Square your hips. Left hand to hip, or left arm straight up to the left as you twist your torso to the left. Again, maybe bend your left knee instead of straightening. Step way back, lower your right knee to the floor, lift your right arm up, left hand to thigh. Lean to the left and then twist. And at any point, feel free to opt out of anything or to take a different variation. Be gentle with yourself if you're having a hard time. Stay here or curl your toes under, lift your knee up. Stay here, lower your right hand to the floor, left arm up. Maybe spin your right heel to the floor. Maybe extend your left arm beyond your ear. So stand up as best as you can in one movement. Turn your toes forward, bring fingertips in front of your chest, bend your knees, step or jump, feet together, arms by your side. Shake out your legs if you need to, take a drink of water. And then take your feet about hip distance, outer hip distance apart, so your outer feet line up with your widest part of your hips. Then bend your knees, take your elbows to your knees or to your thighs. And then start to lower your hips back and take your arms inside your thighs. Lower your hips a little bit more. If your heels lifted up, you can either roll up a blanket or put your heels on a bolster or a blanket so that they push into something, or you can lift your hips until your heels come down. Yeah, now wherever you're at, lean back on your heels, lift up through your sternum, join your palms in front of your heart, and as if you were kind of growing up out of the ground, lift your torso longer. I always like to say this pose looks like a flower. Your knees are the petals. Your head is like the flower part. Good. All right, Uttanasana with your feet wide. Lift your hips up. Feel free to keep knees bent, ribs to thighs. And then just drop your head forward. Maybe grab onto each elbow with each hand and just hang here. Feel free to swing side to side a little bit. Take a moment of rest. All right, now take your fingertips back to the floor. Bend your knees. And then heel toe your feet together. From here, turn on your mat if you're facing the long edge. So now you're facing the short edge of your mat. Just be somewhere where you have room out in front of you. Then bend your knees. Let your heels lift up on this one. Take your knees wide. Then walk your arms forward in between your legs for Garland pose, Malasana. Squeeze your knees into your outer armpits. Then push your shoulders back against your knees. You may stay here or take your right arm to the right. Keep moving your shoulder back, and then point your palm up, bend your elbow, grab your right heel with your hand. Do the same thing with your left arm, reach back, shrug your shoulder, point your palm up, bend your elbow, grab your foot. And then pull yourself in a little deeper if possible. And then lean back a little bit on your hands, tone your abdomen around your back, keep squeezing knees into shoulders, shoulders into knees. And breathe, slow, steady breaths, even in the midst of this very claustrophobic posture. In order to come out, take your arms out, push your hands down, feet down, lift your hips up, and then just give your legs a little wiggle. All right, we're going right into some wildness. So bear with me. Bakasana, bend your knees, lower your hips to your heels, then widen your knees outside your rib cage. Same thing that we just did. And then you can set up like we did already where you took your arms in front of your shins, grab your heels, and that can help you get a little deeper. Whether you did that or not, place your hands under your shoulders, keeping yourself tucked into a tight little ball. Push your feet down, hands down, lift your hips up. Now tone your abdomen around your back like Halloween cat, but lift your chin, lift your upper back in and up. Now shift from your feet to your hands. You can do that as many times as you need, pushing your hands down and forward to lean back to your feet, feet down and back to lean into your hands. Maybe just work on that. Or when you lean forward, try lifting one or both feet off the floor. And hold, keep your gaze steady. Do your best wherever you're at. Just by trying, you're making solid effort and making change and moving forward. Lower your feet. Whoo, forward fold. Hi. Take a breather. Come into child's pose. Knees wide, toes together. Reach your arms forward and rest forehead, tip of nose on the floor. We got a bit of an intermission here. Lift your head up, come up to all fours, then flip over onto your back for a brief time. So once you come down onto your back, bend your knees, bring your knees and ankles together, then pull your right knee toward your chest. From inside your right leg, grab your right foot from the outer edge. Pull your right knee to the right, keeping it as close to your ribs as possible. Then push your foot back into your hands. From here, maybe extend your left leg straight. Feel free to take your left arm along your left thigh and push down. Won't be here very long. It's a nice little pose to take a breather in. Also prepares us for what's to come. Bend both your knees, lower your feet next to each other, then pull your left knee towards you. From inside your leg, grab outside your foot with your left hand. Pull your left knee wide to the left, but keep it as close to your ribs as you can. Push foot into hand, hand into foot. Stay here, extend your right leg straight. Reach your right arm along your right thigh and push down. Bend both knees, Lower both feet to the floor, hip distance. Point your toes straight ahead. Bridge pose. Walk your shoulders in toward your spine one at a time. Push head, shoulders, feet down. Lift up your hips. Feel free to grab the outer edges of your mat or interlace fingers underneath you and walk your shoulders in again. Keep pushing head, shoulders, feet down. Lift hips, chest, chin away from chest. Keep the back of your neck active by pushing through the back of your head. Release your hands. Lower your hips. Rest your knees together. Feet wide, hands wherever comfortable. Take a moment. Then roll to one side. Slowly come back up. And then come to standing. I told you this was going to be a strong flow. All right. Pull your right knee toward your chest. I'm not going to mirror you. Interlace your fingers around your shin. Pull your knee high. Push strongly and lengthen through your left leg. Take your left hand to your left hip and your right arm inside your leg to grab your big toe, first two fingers and thumb. Push foot into hand, hand to foot. Try to keep your hips from right hip coming up. Keep it level with your left hip. Then kick your right leg to or towards straight. Watch out for collapsing forward in your torso. Pull your shoulders back and broaden across your collarbones. Grow taller through your spine. Feel free to stay here or start to widen your right leg to the right. If you need more balance, you can take your left arm to the left. More challenge, keep your hand on your hip and maybe even gaze off to your left. Swing your leg forward, look forward. Lower your foot, very good. Second side, pull your left knee toward your chest. Interlace your fingers around your shin, pull knee high. Then take right hand to hip. Left arm inside your leg, grab your big toe, first two fingers and thumb. Keep your pelvis neutral. Left hip low as right hip. Kick your left leg forward. Push foot into hand, hand and foot, pull up on your foot. Lift up through your sternum, move your shoulders back, broaden across your collarbones. Tita Hasta Padangusthasana, hands to big toe pose. Take your leg off to the left, tuck your outer left hip underneath you. Feel free to use your right arm to the right. Maybe gaze to your right. Look forward, swing your leg forward, and lower your foot to the floor. Fabulous, downward facing dog. You're doing great. Take your right foot outside your right hand. Spin your back heel to the floor as if you were setting up for dog lunge. Then take your right shoulder under your right thigh, behind your knee. Use your right forefinger and thumb behind your calf to pull yourself in a little deeper. Push your shoulder back against your thigh just like you did in Bakasana and Garland pose. And then take your right hand outside your right foot. Take your left hand to your left hip. Feel free to get off the bus stop, any bus stop. Then stack your shoulders. Widen right knee to the right, hip slightly forward. Take your left arm up. Point your left palm back, bend your elbow, and slide your hand outside your outer right hip. Stay here, reach your right arm back, bend your elbow. Maybe grab your fingers or your wrist with one of your hands. Generally, the wrapper is the grabber, but you can really grab whichever wrist feels better in the shoulders. So technically, left hand would grab right wrist if you're going for a wrist. Lower your hands. Downward dog. Whew. The wrapper is the one that goes on top, I think. Take your left hand outside your left foot outside your left hand. Take your right heel to the floor. And then take your left shoulder under your left knee. Get as deeply as you can underneath your thigh. Push your shoulder back against your thigh, left hand outside your foot, right hand to hip, twist to the right. Then from here you can stay or lift your right arm up, hips slightly forward, point your right palm back, bend your elbow, slide your hand down to your outer left hip. Take your left arm back behind you, point your palm up, bend your elbow, grab your fingers or your wrist, maybe right hand to left wrist if you can reach. Push hips forward, stack shoulders, maybe turn your gaze upward. Downward facing dog. Belly down, shoulder stretch. Another intermission. Lots of intermissions when you got a lot of grueling work to do. I take lots of breaks. I don't know about you when you have a hard thing that you're trying to get done. Take your right hand to the right palm flat, move your shoulder back. Left hand next to your left side of your ribs like Cobra pose. And then roll onto your outer right hip. Stack your hips. Scoot your hips slightly forward. And then stay here, lift your left leg, bend your knee, step your foot behind you. Maybe drop your right ear to the floor. And just hang out here for a few breaths. Slowly untwist. Switch sides. Right hand next to your ribs. Left arm straight off to the left, palm flat, arm in line with your shoulder. Pull yourself to twist to the right. And stack your right hip on top of your left hip. Maybe scoot hips forward. Feel free to lift right leg, bend your knee, step your foot behind you. Maybe drop your ear to the floor. Untwist. Then come back to on your belly. Whenever you're on your belly, pull yourself slightly forward so your flesh of your body moves toward your toes. And then take your hands about halfway between your elbows and your shoulders, kind of guesstimate that. And then point your index fingers straight ahead. Push your hips down, move your shoulder blades onto your back and pull your inner shoulder back toward your outer shoulder. Then pull your throat back, lift your chin, look forward. Low cobra, stay here, or push hands down and back to pull your torso forward and up, and then elevate your torso as high as feels beneficial for you today. That might mean you stay low, and that's fine. Don't forget about your legs. Turn your inner thighs up, outer hips down, and breathe. Slowly lower down. Take one breath. Exhale completely. Then inhale again, lift up again. This time walk your hands back so your wrists are under your elbows. Push your arms straight, hips low for upward facing dog. Pull your shoulders back, throat back. Try to lift your thighs away from the floor. Keep shoulders away from ears. Downward dog. Got a couple more arm balances. And so we're almost done. Step or jump your feet outside your hands. Yep. Now take your right arm under your right leg. Take your right hand behind your calf and then pull yourself under. And just hold for a couple of breaths. And then come out, do the same thing on the left side. Take left arm under your left leg. Pull yourself under a little deeper, move shoulder back against your thigh, take a couple of breaths. Slowly come out. Lengthen your spine, work your legs towards straight. Then bend your knees again. See if you can take both of your arms at the same time under both of your legs. And then grab onto your calves with your hands. Pull yourself in, one at a time. Go a little deeper. Maybe even heel toe your feet a little closer together so you have a tighter squeeze with your legs. Now remember, do push your shoulders back against your legs. That's super important. Then take your left or both of your sets of fingers behind your heels, fingers pointing toward your heels. Then lean back, bend your knees, and sit on your elbows as you take your palms flat to the floor. Now, don't just sit without strength. Tone your abdomen and try to lift your hips off of your arms. Then walk your feet in a little closer toward your hands. Keep your hips in an active lifting position away from your arms. Do or don't elevate your feet off the floor. Maybe join your feet or cross right ankle over left ankle over right ankle. And then unwrap. You can either sit down or stand up, but eventually do come back up to standing. Ooh. Good. Roll your wrists out a couple of times in either direction. And then whenever you feel ready, come into a downward facing dog, doing the last arm balance. It's coming right up. I believe in you. Bring your feet together. This is Eka Pada Bakasana 2, Crow 2. Take your right leg outside your right shoulder. And then take your right arm under your right leg. There's gonna be an option to go in another pose after we get into that pose, so just listen for it. Otherwise, you can stay in that pose. So listen carefully. From here, take your left foot, walk it in. Keep your right shoulder behind your right knee. Now take your left foot kind of in between your right foot and your left hand, but back a little bit behind. Bend your knees, squat. Let your heels come up off the floor. Yeah, I'm gonna turn so you can see me. Now from here, take your left arm, the free arm, inside your left leg. And then take your left arm to the left like you did with Garland pose where we grabbed the heel. You're gonna keep that action, but place your left palm flat. From here, lean a little bit forward, pull your left heel up as you push through your hands and your right foot. Stay like that, or lean back, lower your left tippy toes, push through your hands, and kick your right leg to the right. Then maybe lean a little forward to lift both sets of legs off the floor. Now, your choice, stay here, or if you're in this position, you can kick your left leg way back for Uttanasana 2. You're like, no way. Good, come on out whenever you're ready. Roll your wrists. Yeah, awesome. Let's try the other side. Take your left leg forward. You can come into it from down dog or whatever. And then take your left arm under your left leg. Get a little deeper. And then hop your back foot in. Get it as close to your hands and foot as possible, but slightly behind your foot and hands. Bend your knees, lift your heels, squat. Then from here, stay, or take your right arm inside your right leg, squeeze knee into your outer armpit, and then lift your hips up as you push through your hands and your left foot, pull your right heel to your hip. Stay like that, or lean back on your right toes, kick your left leg straight. Stay like that, or lean forward, move your shoulders back, pull your right knee, like heel up, stay here, or kick your right leg back. It's so hard, and then come out. Yeah, that's something to work on, right? Then come into a child's pose. Knees wide, toes together. Good news is that's the last hard pose we're gonna do today. Thank goodness. But regardless, you're still here. And that's awesome. Slow your breathing to slow your heart rate. Then lengthen your spine halfway. Walk your hands over to your right, sideways child's pose. Drop your left ribs toward the floor, right ribs toward the ceiling. Push with your right hand, pull with your left hand. Maybe let your head rest into your left arm. And slowly untwist. Slowly walk your hands over to your left. Then drop your right side toward the floor, left side toward the ceiling. Push with your left hand, pull with your right hand. Slowly come out. Come to all fours. Keep your knees like they are, knees a little wider than your hips, toes together. Reach your right arm open. Revolve, child's pose. Take your right arm under your left arm. Bring your right shoulder and ear to the floor. Pull with your right arm. Then reach your left hand forward and to the right beyond your head. Push with your left arm. And draw your left hip back, right hip forward to square your hips. Slowly walk your left hand back. Untwist, reaching your right arm all the way up. Lower your hand to the floor. Take left arm all the way open to the left. Swing your left arm under your right arm, shoulder and ear to the floor. Maybe walk your right hand forward into your left. Push with your right arm, pull with your left arm. Draw right hip back, left hip forward. Turn your attention a little more inward as we move toward the end of class. Walk your right hand back. Push down to untwist, reach your left arm all the way up to the left. Lower your hand to the floor. And then just extend your legs straight out in front of you. Dandasana, yoga staff pose. Make sure your sitting bones are even underneath you. And then from here, take your left knee to the left. You can go 90 degrees or a little wider. And then make sure, keeping your sitting bones underneath you, either turn toward in between your legs or turn over your right leg for a little extra twist in the torso. Grab shin, ankle, or foot with one or both of your hands. And then fold heart first, head last. Always feel free to bend your right knee. Feel where in your body you feel this posture, in any posture, the most. And allow that feeling and sensation to take you inward just a little deeper. Using the external to move more internal. On your next inhale, slowly lengthen your spine and sit up. Turn towards your left knee. Take your right hand to your thigh, left hand behind you, gaze beyond your left shoulder. Then take your left arm up, then beyond your ear, your palm facing the floor. Maybe stay like this or take right hand or forearm inside your leg. You can also take your whole armpit to your thigh. And maybe if you're able, you can grab the outer edge of your right foot with your left hand, and then the inner edge with your right hand. Otherwise, just extend your top arm beyond your ear. Be as sideways as possible. Do allow your left sitting bone to lift up if it wants to. On your next inhale, slowly sit back up. Stay long in your spine, kick your left leg forward. Swing your right knee slightly to the right. And then make sure your sitting bones are even. Either fold in between your legs or over your left leg, grabbing shin, ankle, or foot, or just taking your hands outside and inside your leg. And widen your right elbow to the right, fold forward, heart first, head last. Forehead toward your knee. On your next inhale, lengthen your spine, slowly sit up, turn toward your right knee, twist. Parivritta Shirshasana, take your right arm up and lean to your left. You can always just go all the way to your side if that's available for you, or take your left hand or forearm to the floor inside your leg. Feel free, if you're grabbing your foot, it's right hand to outer edge, left hand to inner edge. And slowly sit back up. Extend your right leg straight. Parshvo Tanasana, make sure your sitting bones are even again. Feel free to separate your legs to be hip distance or bring them together. Feel free to bend your knees, ribs to thighs, or ribs to thighs, straighten your legs. Grab shins, ankles, or feet from the outer edges, or just line up your hands outside your legs. And then widen your elbows to the sides as you fold forward, heart first. Head last, face toward your shins. Reaching the top of your head toward the top of your feet. Then allowing your arms to drop once you're folded. On your next inhale, slowly lengthen your spine, sit back up. And then slide your hips forward, your torso to the floor. Feel free to do any final poses, maybe pulling your knees toward your chest, maybe doing a happy baby, maybe doing another bridge pose if you need a back bend, or windshield wipers, anything at all. And then eventually come all the way down for Savasana. Slowly begin to deepen and lengthen your breath. Bring gentle movements back into your body. Whenever you feel ready, gently bend your one knee at a time and roll to your side, using your arms to press yourself back to a comfortable seat. We strengthen ourselves when we accomplish difficult tasks mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And it shows us that there is this reservoir of strength within all of us. And when things get difficult, have faith that you will make it through. Every being is Shraddhamaya, made up of faith. Feel free to join your palms for one last Om. Take a full breath in. Exhale completely. Inhale again. Feel free to place your hands over your heart, taking a moment to acknowledge yourself, each other, this practice, and anyone or anything else. Be here as long as you need and gently enter into the rest of your day. Thank you all so much for coming to practice with me. As always, have a wonderful rest of your evening or day.